Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a lineup construction video for the 2020 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Before I get into the video, I do want to tell you guys, it's just a little tip. Watch the video in 1.5 times speed. I still sound smooth. My delivery is typically slower, so it kind of just speeds it up a little bit and it gets you through the video faster. And what's better than that? Save a little bit of time. In order to do that, if you don't know, hover your mouse over the video, right? Actually, just over my face would be fine. You're going to see a gear icon appear right here. Click on that, click playback speed, and change it to whatever you like. I recommend 1.5. You can do 1.75 or 2. 2 times speed will cut the video in half. I don't know exactly how I sound, but as long as I'm not speaking super fast, like kind of right there, that wasn't super fast. But for me, it's super fast. It's not going to sound bad. On mobile, you're going to see 3 lines in a vertical line, or not 3 lines, 3 dots in a vertical line. Click on that. You're going to see playback speed there. Again, choose whatever you like. Now that I got that out of the way, let's go ahead, look at the player pool criteria that I'm going to look at. Tournament history, I want some. Doesn't have to be good. Maybe 2 or 3 of my golfers I want to have good tournament history. The other guys, or the other people to fill out my lineup, doesn't really matter. You just want some. This tournament is unique where it's a celebrity pro-am. There are 2 tournaments being played. I incorrectly said this during the American Express, but I know it's true for this one. There are 2 tournaments being played. One is the individual pro event, and the other one is the team up with the celebrity for charity event. The celebrities get to use their handicap, and then they team up with the pro and have a best ball tournament against all the other teams. So when you watch the tournament, you're probably going to see someone like on Saturday with a 15 under score, like say Paul Casey last year. He was 15 under after the first round, or after round 3, and you're going to see like their team event, their team score is going to be like minus 22. Well, how is that possible? Well, sometimes the celebrity score is better than the pro. Sometimes they need the help of a handicap. If both players part it, but the handicap gives the celebrity a stroke on that hole, that means you cut a stroke away from the celebrity score. So instead of getting a par, he'll get a birdie. So then the team gets a birdie. And that's how that happens. Why tournament history matters? Because if you've been here, if you've played this tournament before, you know what to expect. Now, there's a lot of stuff going around talking about how this is a slow tournament. And it is. But you also have to keep in mind, Brandt Snedeker does really well here, and he's one of the fastest golfers on tour. It's not really going to affect people who are players that keep coming back. Keep that in mind, because again, I've heard enough of it throughout the industry where it's just like, they say it just to say it. I know I'm saying it also, but what I'm telling you, play golfers that have tournament history. I think people who come here for the first time, it might affect them oddly. Also, Pebble Beach, or the other 2 courses that go with it, they're unique golf courses in their own right. So it's probably their first time playing. Anyways, tournament history, just some, that's what matters. I'm also going to look at birdie or better. It's not an end-all be-all, but birdie or better seemed to have been a successful trait to look at last year. I didn't really see anything else for stats. When we go through the 2019 DK page, you're going to see the same thing. I'm also going to look at POA splits, but last year it didn't really seem like POA mattered until I broke it down by golf course that the pro started at. And that's why I have for number 3, POA plus Monterey Peninsula or Pebble Beach start. That's whatever that course they start at on Thursday. I will say this. Looking at the 2019 DK page, the top salary golfers started on Monterey Peninsula. Only 2 of them, or 3 of them actually, 3 out of like 12 finished inside the top 20. That's troubling because at their salary, where you would think it would be an easy find, to anchor your lineups with, it isn't. So when we'll go through it, we'll look at it. The other thing that I want to talk about are the, points 4 and 5 on my player pool criteria have everything to do with my bucket system, and that's basically the result from last year. Now, last year won, so the LY1, that just stands for last year won, those are golfers who finished inside the top 20 last year. Last year 2 are golfers who did not play last year. These two stats seem to be prevalent at success for this tournament, especially golfers who did not golf the week before, which indicates the last week won. And you're going to see that also. It's a huge tell. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get into that. I'm going to throw up the 2019 DK page. Let me just get it ready for you. Here's the 29 DK page. It is sorted by result. But before looking at successes, successful stats, I'm going to sort it by the salary so you guys can see. You can see a lot of MPs here. That means Monterey Peninsula. Doesn't matter what hole they really started at. But then, again, you only see 3 top 20s. I guess I could scroll down here. Let's see. Is this the top 20 right here? All right. So Cameron Champ. This is the top 20. So top 20 in salary, you have 5 golfers that finished inside the top 20. That's what the light green stands for. Not a lot of missed cuts, so that's a good sign. But you don't want a 45th position for your highest priced guy. That's just not doable. Almost 4th place for your top salary guy is undoable. You want that top guy to be top 3. Now, Jason Day was actually in the optimal lineup. He just fit. If he was a little bit more expensive, you wouldn't have been able to play Jason Day with his 4th place finishing position. Now, you could win a tournament that way, don't get me wrong, but to get the optimal score, you wouldn't have been able to do that. But yeah, if you look at all this, it's not good. And that's also, I bring it up because in that player pool criteria, I said find golfers starting at Monterey Peninsula or Pebble Beach with good birdie or better stats. Well, if we go ahead, let's go and hide. I'm just going to hide all of this right here. We'll open it back up, but we don't need to see it. I just want to show you the birdie or better. It's difficult to look because how I did this in 2019, I went by the PGA rank, and that's not, that wasn't a very good system to try. But yellow is basically yellow to light green is the upper 30 percentile, meaning they were good at birdie or better. I can go ahead and sort it by this so you guys can see what the numbers look like. So here's your top 20, and it goes down to 44th place. Now, we do see quite a bit of golfers inside the top 20 and 4 golfers missing the cut. Ryan Palmer being one, Taylor Gooch, Jason Gore, and Bo Hosler. Essentially guys that just are no-namers. You don't even have to worry about those guys. I mean, I guess we don't see DJ up here. Yeah, we don't see DJ up here, so that's interesting. That makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with going with the birdie or better golfers. And I guess not even caring what hole they start at. Or what golf course they start at. So I'm just going to don't worry about that. But yeah, I don't see any other stat. Even if we were to go with POA splits. Oh my gosh. So if we went with POA splits, and change this, so now we sort it by best to worst, you're not going to see a lot of success over here. You're not going to really see a lot of good golfers. And unfortunately, like last year, like I said with how I did the stats, I don't have the stats the same way I have them for this year. I include how many events they've played in. I've also included how often they find the top 10 in a percentage. So it's difficult to look at this 2019 DK page and just understand which golfers we want. But birdie or better, definitely prevalent. POA, not so much. These greens are small. So finding golfers who have good POA might not even matter. They're short golf courses, which means you're going to want to bomb and gouge, basically. And perhaps you want to find the best wedge players. That's why Brant Snedekers, Jim Furyk's, Jason Days have been really good at this tournament. They're really good wedge players. Being offline with your driver isn't going to matter so much. So you could also take into account Phil Mickelson. I'm not a huge fan of him this week because of how offline he's been off the tee. That doesn't really matter here unless you're hitting into the trees and on Spyglass or Monterey, because those are more tree line courses. Pebble's just more open with the ocean and stuff like that. And also with tournament history, you're going to have savvy players who know where to leave the ball. Sometimes that's not hitting driver off the tee. Sometimes you can, Phil will know that. So I'm not huge on Phil this week because he's coming over from Saudi Arabia. There are actually a few golfers that are, and we'll go over that. But yeah, POA doesn't seem to be a big indicator. And that's why I'm not gonna focus on it too much. I do like birdie or better. And perhaps, if we went, I think why I said the starting hole and the POA splits, mostly because looking at all of this, I should just actually highlight the Spyglass Hill and just show you, other than I guess Furyk, none of them were good, but yeah, it's still, it's irrelevant. Let's just say that it's irrelevant. Birdie or better. Let's go with that, and let's get the heck out of here. I guess before we get out of here, what I'm probably going to put most of my, I can't think of a better word than faith, but it wouldn't be faith. I'm putting most of, my faith in the bucket score. You can see nothing but 1s and 2s dominate the top 10. And we can just say the top 9, because I don't want to include the 4 right here, but I guess we can. These ones, you can easily tell if we come over here and look at the last year bucket or the last year result, are golfers that finished inside the top 20. And the ones that, the 2s are golfers who did not golf. That's important. And that's what I'm going to go after. That leads me into going to the next part of our video, going into the bucket system. Bucket system, I cut them up, top 5 finishes at that year. So 2019, top 5, we had 4 golfers that finished the year before inside the top 20. That's what the 1 to 20 means right here. So that's how I gather all that data, throw it into this table, and then I do a sum count over here, or a sum of how many golfers follow inside this bucket. You can tell, or you can see that top 20 for last year, the last year bucket, ranks number 1. Number 2 would be golfers who did not play. And then it's just kind of a mix between. Same goes with my last week. So you can see that here. Again, top 5. You can see how many golfers inside the top 5 had a last week finish inside these groups, these ranges. Far and away did not play at the top. And if we come down here to the top 10 finishes for that year, you can see even bigger scores. That did not play the week before is a very huge tell. I'm going to play a lot of golfers that have a last week bucket score of 1. I'm going to mix in some other ones, but I'm going to probably start mostly with looking at golfers with a last week 1 score. One thing you might have already noticed, and if you didn't, the score, the sum, I should say, is higher for the did not plays for the last year bucket for top 10s. But because there are so many more that, there's at least 1 that finishes inside the top 5 that has a top 20 score the year before, and the did not play shows a 0. I'm putting that as the top bucket, or the top frequency, or the top range for the bucket. And that's why it's going to be the last year bucket 1 score. And this is the last year bucket 2. The other thing I like looking at are the combinations. You can see the finishing positions each year. For 2019, here are all the finishing positions, 2018 finishing positions, and then I have the combination that represents those places. You can obviously tell right away there's a lot of ones. There are also a lot of twos. If you keep, looking at all these last year scores, you can also see all the last week one scores, and you can tell that that's very prevalent. But I like to look at all the combinations, and I always start with 1-1s, looking for how many 1-1s do we see every single year. We don't see anything in 2015, but 2015 was also odd, as in the Farmers Insurance Open preceded the tournament, so it wasn't the same as 2014, 2016, 2017, and so on. These all are tournaments that had the Waste Management precede the AT&T Pebble Beach tournament, which means maybe we just get rid of this, don't even look at it, and look at all the other ones. Maybe. And if you do that, you're going to see a lot of golfers who did not play the week before. So that's something to keep in account. Now, the other thing I want to also show you guys, how many times does a 1-1 finish inside the top 5? 5 out of 6 years. That's pretty impressive. Now, if you were to put that into a calculation, 5 divided by 6 is 83%. I have that right here. 5 divided by 6, 83%. That means a 1-1 has finished inside the top 10 83% of the last 6 years. It's a pretty good mark. Now, if we believe that's going to happen again this year, now that changes from 5 to 6, and the tournaments change from 6 to 7, meaning 85%. I personally believe it's going to again. We will see a 1-1 inside the top 5, if not the top 10. Which means I'm making 50 lineups. 85% of 50 is 42.5. So 42 lineups, actually I rounded up, 43 lineups, I'm going to have a 1-1 in. And we'll look at that player pool shortly. But you can see also how many times has it happened more than once. Now, only 2 of the last 6 years, which turns out to be 33%. Again, if we do the easy math, so 2 divided by 6 is the same as 1 divided by 3, 1 and 3, 33%. I'm going to play 33% of my lineups having 2 1-1s in it. Simple as that. Before we go into the other combinations, I also gather all the data down here. Here are how many times that has happened in the last 6 years. So 7 over here. 13 times has a 2-1 finished inside the top 10. 4 times has a 3-1. 4 times has a 4-1. 3 times has a 5-1. Now, 3-1s, 4-1s, and 5-1s, it's only happened. It's interesting that it's happened. Okay. I also have a count over here, and this represents how many years it's happened. So 4 out of 6 years, there has been a 3-1. 4 out of 6 years, there has been a 4-1. 3 out of 6 years, there's been a 5-1. Now combine that with the count, how many times it's actually happened throughout all 6 years, it matches how many individual times it's happened, or how many different individual years it's happened, which means you only see them once. You don't see multiples of them in 1 year. For instance, if we look at a 4-1 and we try to find all the 4-1s, there are your 3, 4, or 4 4-1s right there. You can see it's only happened once in any of those years, but it's happened 4 times. Which means, you can play them. It's acceptable, but don't play more than one of them. That's the key thing. So really all this does for me, it narrows my player pool when I'm creating my lineup construction. If I play a 4-1, that means I'm not playing any more 4-1s. If I play a 3-1, that means I'm not playing any more 3-1s. Which it's going to get rid of a lot of players when you construct lineups that way. Now, it still keeps the player pool open to anybody, really. And that's fine, because how I'm going to construct lineups, and I'll show you, it's fairly simple, and again, it narrows my pool down for me. The only things that I'm really confident in are the 2-1s and the 1-1s. If we went through the 2-1s, it's happened 13 times over the last 6 years. So I can show you where all the 2-1s have happened. And then we can discuss it a little bit more. Okay, so it's obviously happened 5 of the 6 years that I have data for. Of those 5 years, if we pay attention, you see 4 of them happening in 2014, 4 of them happening in 2016, 2 in 2018, 2 in 19. So really, 4 out of the last 6 years, we've seen at least 2 2-1s. Now, if you combine that with a 1-1, you've got 3 playing positions filled, or 3 positions in your lineup filled. That can also fluctuate because 4 of the last 6 years, we've seen, well, how about this? 2 of those 6 years, we've seen at least 4 2-1s. So you can play anywhere from 1 2-1 to 4 2-1s and have a pretty good shot at finding a lot of your players inside the top 10. Again, it's just an easier way for me to narrow down my player pool while I'm creating these lineups. And then the rest of them, like, if you're going to mix anything else, make it a 4-2, or I should say make it a last year 2 or a last year 1. You don't see a lot of 4s up at the top. Sure, we see a couple 3s here. This was, again, the Farmers Insurance Open. We can almost just disregard that tournament, or this tournament, 2015, just disregard that because a different tournament preceded it. Every time the Waste Management Open has been played before it, you just see a bunch of 2s and 1s. You're going to be safe finding a bunch of 2s and 1s, maybe mixing in a couple 3s. But that's how I'm going to create lineups. And what a better segue. Let's go right into it and create some lineups from the 2020 DK page. Now, these percentages, so this column here is my bucket combination percentage. If you remember me talking about the 1-1s, I had said 5 of the last 6 years, there's been a 1-1. Well, 5 of the last 6 years mean there was a 1-1 inside the top 10. That calculates out to be 83%. That's what this number means, 83%. Just helps me look at this and say, what is my confidence rate of playing this golfer based off of his bucket combination? 83%. There you go. Interestingly enough, a 5-1 doesn't look good. Just because the color just turns light red, that means warning, don't play. But there's a 50% chance that he'll find himself inside the top 10, just based off his bucket combination. That's why I like going by these numbers as opposed to the players, and as opposed to the shots gained metrics, because a lot of that is difficult to read. This is easy. It's just numbers 1 through 6. Again, it's easy for me. And I color code it just based off of caution. Colors of the streetlights. Green means go, red means stop. Light red means maybe just be careful. It's like a yield sign. Yeah. If I pull up the 2020 lineup construction sheet that I have, what I'm going to do, this is what I've already kind of started this, and I just want to show you from the calculator's perspective what this means, or what I'm doing with my 1-1s. Now, I already said 5 of the last 6 years we've seen a 1-1. That equals 83%. If I make 50 lineups, I'm going to times that by 83%. Gives me 41.5. I am going to round up and say that's 42. So we'll go with 42 lineups. In column 1, these are my 1-1s. I scroll down, basically click and drag all the way down. This equals 42. You can see line 43. My first line is obviously taken by headers, so you just minus that from 43. We have 42. Also, we saw 2 years where we saw 2 1-1s in it. So that means I'm going to do the same thing. And in 16 lineups, which really I think I'm just going to make that into 17 lineups. Oh no, I'll keep it in 16. So here are my other 1-1s. Now I just have these as placeholders as Jason Day and Paul Casey, just to hold them there. But I have those numbers over here. But the other thing to go along with all of this, if I count, so that's 16 golfers right there, right? Basically, this 16 plus the number I just had right here, 50 times 83, 41. We can round up for both of them. I'm going to round up for both of them. So we're going to call this 17 and we're going to call this 42. So 17 plus 42, a lot of you guys already just know that off the top of your head. That's 59. 59 instances where I'm going to have a 1-1 in my lineups. Now, I'm never going to have more than 42 lineups that have a 1-1 in it. Out of those 42 lineups, 16 of them will have another additional 1-1. Just an easy way for me to create lineups. Like, it's just right there, boom. If I were to go ahead and show you what that player pool is, so if I clear this and give you all of the 1-1s, you're going to see it's a pretty small pool. We have 9 golfers. So I copy and pasted this pool right here, threw it over here on the side. And then out of 59, how many times do I want to own these guys in my lineups? Now, Jason Day, I want to go heavy on. But Jason Day can only fit, column 1 for me. If he's my favorite golfer, I got to put him in so many lineups. And again, that number was 42. If you guys recall, we are only playing 42 lineups out of 50 that have a 1-1 in it. If he's going to anchor my lineups, if I want to play 50% of 50 lineups, it's going to equal 25. Like I said, he has to be over in this left column. So if I count and we come down here, Jason Day goes down to line 26. That equals 25. 50% of my lineups are going to have Jason Day in them. Now, 25 into 42 is definitely more than 50% of my 1-1s that I'm going to play. But that's fine. He's definitely far and away my favorite 1-1. Now I have to decide what I want to do with the rest of them. So 25 minus 59 equals 34. I hope you guys can do that math really quick. It is simple. So out of 34 positions, I need to fill in 8 spots. Well, I like to start out with which golfers do I just not like, that I have no confidence in. And I mean, we can look at the player pool or the DK page and just see, okay, which course are they starting at? Which hole are they starting at? What time? What are their odds? Yada, yada, yada. We can look at their value, tournament history. All of them have tournament history, so you can feel confident playing most of them. Recent form average, I think we want to look at that because these guys right here, that doesn't bode well. Like, we want to have decent recent form. If we went back and we looked at all the years, obviously we see some red ones here. But as you can tell, this value right here next to that, this is your last week score. Obviously, a miscut is not a not play. If you remember the did not play, that equals last week 1. So that doesn't apply there. It doesn't apply there. We go to 2018 and we try to find more red ones. Okay, so we have one here with Ted Potter Jr. But he did have tournament history. He was a 2-1. I still don't see any 1-1s that have bad recent form. Still not seeing any bad golfers, bad recent form that are 1-1s. Except for Von Taylor. There we go. Von Taylor is the guy who broke the mold. So it's not undoable, or it's not impossible. Yeah, okay. So you guys can see that it's not worth playing these guys. And maybe not even, well, obviously Phil's good, but that recent form average is not good. He did just get a 3rd place finish over in Saudi Arabia. But that's also another reason I'm hesitating in playing him, is because he's traveling overseas. And why don't we talk about that right now? And we can come back to this. This won't take too long. Let's talk about all the golfers that are coming from overseas. Dustin Johnson is coming from overseas. He played in the Saudi. Actually, I don't even know who played in the Saudi tournament. I'll just keep that up for you guys so you can see that. but I am not confident in playing anybody who's coming overseas. The last two weeks, Waste Management Open, who was it? Bryson DeChambeau came over from overseas, did not play well. He did make the cut, but he did not play well. The week before that was the Farmers Insurance Open, and that had Justin Rose coming over. Justin Rose missed the cut. He did not play well. So that, I'm definitely keeping that in mind. Okay, I have leaderboard up here. Graham McDowell's in this. He is in. I'm sorry, he's in this tournament. Dustin Johnson's in this tournament. Phil Mickelson is in this tournament. I'm not seeing anybody else so far. And really, I only care about those that made the cut. Suppose I'll just give this a quick look over, and then we can look at golfers. Okay, no one worth mentioning, like no notable players. I'm not going to worry about miscuts because I think if you come over here after a miscut, it's going to be the jet lag and things you're going to get through pretty fast. But okay, so DJ, Graham, Phil, those guys all came over from overseas from the Saudi International Tournament. I'm playing as least amount of those as I possibly can. You can see 2 of them are 1-1s. DJ's a 5-1, so it just keeps proving to me don't play DJ, or don't play a lot of him. Okay, now that we talked about golfers that came over, let's go back into the 1-1s. To me, it's not difficult, really. I'm not huge on Phil. These are, again, coming from overseas. I'm just not going to be high on those guys. I created what I felt like is decent ownership for the golfers that I'm interested in. DJ Trahan, Michael Thompson, not very confident in playing them. Graham McDowell, Phil Mickelson. This is more of fear of missing out more than anything. I don't want to just play one of them just to play one of them. I want to play 2 of them in case, one of these lineups hits. And Paul Casey is my favorite underneath Jason Day. I'd like to play him in more, but I'm using my bucket system to curb my ownership of these 1-1s. I'm going more all in on Jason Day, which has to take away from somebody. It has to take away from everyone, but because I left only 34 golfers out of the remaining 8, I had to choose. I could all put them in 4 lineups equally, and then one person or 2 people have one more. They're in 5. But I want to show that Paul Casey's my second favorite, followed by Furyk and Scott Stallings. Okay, now that we have that, we have to decide where we want to put these guys. Now, Paul Casey, if we look at Paul, he is more expensive than Jason Day. If we pair them together, you can already tell it leaves me with $7,300 left. How many times do we want to pair Paul Casey out of these 9 with Jason Day? I think 5. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put him in 5 lineups here, and then he's going to be in 4 by himself down here. So that's going to take care of my 9. Now that we have that established, Jim Furyk, how many do I want to, put him in with Jason Day? Well, same thing applies. He's $7,800. I could put them all in the Jason Day sweepstakes, basically. But really, if we're only playing Paul in 4 or in 5, we have to actually fill out of this player pool here 11 spots. So how about this? We'll go down the list. I'll put 1 Phil Mickelson with Jason Day. Put 1 Graham McDowell with Jason Day. And right away, that just takes care of Phil and Graham. I can put those guys down to 1 each, just to remind myself. Paul, we can take down 5, so I need to put him in 4. And so Jim Furyk, I want to put out of 7. I think I'll put him in 4. We'll try to keep it as even keel as possible. So 4 brings that down to 3, and actually I'm just going to go ahead. Phil and Graham. So we want them right here. So that clears out that. Furyk, we can put down here now. So 3 by himself. He's going to be matched up with like DJ or somebody else that's a higher price. Jason Day's already done. Now we got Paul Casey done. Now we focus on these guys. Do we put... Okay. The remaining Jason Day lineups, I have to figure out what I want to do. So actually what I am going to do is put 3 here of Scott Stallings, because I do like Scott Stallings. I do like Lucas Glover. I like Lucas Glover way more than these two. These two are just going to be on whatever lineups. I don't care. So I can take 2 away from Lucas Glover. That leaves 3, and 3 away from Scott Stallings. That leaves 4. So really out of these guys, I think, I mean, the math should add up, right? So Lucas Glover in 3. Scott Stallings in what, 4? 4. Did I not do the math right? Glover 5, Stallings 3. I must not have. I wonder where I screwed up. Oh, this oh no, that's correct. We went 1 up, didn't we? Yeah, it was 16.666. And we went to 17. That's why. Okay. Man. So 1 more Scott Stallings. Which means these 2 are, you know what? For the heck of it, I'm putting that right there. That's fine. We're doing it that way. Okay. So there we go. All of my 1-1s are completed. I don't have to worry about 1-1s anymore. I can remove them. I can remove them from my player pool. I don't have to think about playing any more 1-1s. This is how I'm starting my lineups, just like this. Now I want to look at my 2-1s. That's my next major group. Remember, there were 13 of them. If we count how many are in this bucket, there's 42. 42 golfers in this bucket. Some of these we can just X out like right away. Now, I'm not totally convinced like Nelson Ledesma is, you know, someone you should just X out. I'm not going to play him with how many limited lineups I'm going to create. 5 out of the last 6 years. Again, we can do this. Oh gosh. We could literally do it the same way that we just did the 1-1s. 50 times, again, 83%. Nearly 42. So we're going to go with 42. That's totally fine. 42 lineups are going to have 2-1s in it. And we can do the same thing. I'm going to copy the first 2-1 I see. So Patrick Cantlay, I can throw right here and throw down all the way down to 42. Just to show this is how many 2-1s that I'm going to play. Now, most likely what I'm going to actually do is do something like this. That way I can kind of differentiate. You know, I'm going to play some Patrick Cantlay with Jason Day. And don't get me wrong, all 42 of these are not going to be Patrick Cantlay. But I will play some Patrick Cantlay to go with some of these guys. But I am only going to be playing them in 42 lineups. Or I should say a 2-1 in 42. Now, if you remember, 4 out of the last 6 years, we've had at least 2 2-1s in it. So that's 66%. So 50 times 0.66, actually, it's going to be 33. I can pick the next 2-1, who is Alex Noren, and 33 lineups. So I'm just going to do this. I mean, I guess it's all but 17, right? So I went from here. Should equal 33, right? Okay, that's 34. So there we go. But also, to go along with that, 2 of those years, 2 divided by 6, 33%, times that by 50. We can play 17 lineups with 4 2-1s. And by the way, when we look at this player pool, not only is the amount, not only the volume of 2-1s, just looking at 2-1s, but you know what? I was just about to say the quality of 2-1s is pretty high. I don't even think the quality of 2-1s is that good. If you didn't believe, and I shouldn't have gone by 83%. I meant to go by 85% because we think 6 out of the last 7 years is going to have it. So if we count this year as one of them, that's why my numbers were off a little bit. But if we went the opposite direction, 5, it's already 5 out of 6. But if we went 5 out of 7, that's 71%. And now that I look at all these 2-1s, there's just so many of them. It's almost impossible to think that we won't have at least 2 2-1s in it. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to leave it that way. I do think because of just the mass amount of 2-1s there are, we're going to find at least one of them inside the top 10. But to think that there's going to be 4 or up to 4, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's going to be a plausible number. So we can actually apply the same logic we did for the 16%. So right now there's obviously 2 out of the last 6 years, that's 33, but we're going to say it's 2 out of the last 7 years, 28%. Now we can times that by not 4, but 50. So 14 lineups, which is just 2 less. Big deal, right? That's fine. That's okay. I'm not going to put Kurt Kitayama as, actually, I suppose. So 14 of these lineups here. Where is that number? Right there. Okay. I know some of you guys are going to say this is effing crazy, but I like it. I'm going to do it. Which means my player pool out of all of these, it's probably actually pretty ridiculous. 103. I'm going to figure that out on my own. 103. Now, 42 is the max we can have. 42 divided by 103. 40%. So if I were to say I want to play Patrick Cantlay in 40% of my lineups, he would literally, he wouldn't even scratch. I mean, yeah, whatever. He'd be nearly 40%. I'm not going to do that. I do like Patrick Cantlay quite a bit. Out of the 2-1s, I mean, I guess I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put 25. That's going to be my count of Patrick Cantlay owners, or my ownership for Patrick Cantlay. Again, I'm going to throw that here. Oh, let's go ahead and just copy all the way down to the bottom. So out of 103, 25 is going to be Cantlay. I guess I'll do, is that what I want? Yeah, sure. 25 will be Alex Noren as well. So now I can cut that down to 50. So 53 to fill in, to go, or to look at 40 other golfers, fit them in 53. Now I could go and just put them all one at a time, just each one of them once and then a couple of them twice or 3 times. Totally doable. But I'm going to figure out what my percentage is that I want to play. I think I like Brandon Wu quite a bit. I might put him in 20 lineups. So I mean, that cuts that down to 33. That makes it easier. Maybe McNeely and 15. You know, that cuts that down to 18 now. I actually feel really comfortable with that number being something like that. So I do like Brandon Wu. I do like Maverick McNeely. The only thing I don't like about those golfers is the lack of tournament history. Alex Noren, Kurt Kitayama, no tournament history here. Matthew, this is interesting. A lot of people pronounce his name Neesmith or Naismith. I heard on the Golf Channel it's Nesmith. 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 Not Neesmith, not Naismith, Nesmith. Weird name, I know. But I'm gonna go with that because it seems like Golf Channel people know their shit. So I'm gonna go with that. I said some tournament history, man. Maybe we just go like this. Actually select all and then clear the blanks. How many golfers are we left over with? 20. And Maverick McNeely has played here before, so that's a good sign. Maybe I play much more Maverick McNeely than Brandon Wu. Maybe I flip those numbers around. Put 20 here and 15 on Wu. I'm cool with that. Noren has not played here before, so maybe I play less Noren. That's totally doable. The only thing is now this number is going to grow. I mean, 103 minus 80, so 43. That's fine. I basically have 40 lineups left. I could put one of each on all of them. Again, I'm going to figure this out on my own, but this is how I'm going to do that. The rest of the player pool, basically, we're going to select all and then unselect 2 and 1. We could basically look at all of the last week ones and I guess rank them of how we like, who we like. So yes, let's select all just to see who's all in here. So no golfers. All of the ones have played here before. Actually, of all the last year buckets, I suppose that means I'm stupid. Don't mind me. Last year bucket 2 means they have not played here last year. Anyone who has played here last year has tournament history. Duh. Okay. We'll keep that sorted like that, and we'll get rid of all but one. I like Cam Champ quite a bit. I do like Kevin Kisner quite a bit. And if we look at the stats, I guess we can look at the birdie or better. Let's sort by best to worst. Cam Champ is at the top, followed by Nick Watney. I probably won't play a lot of Dominic Bizzelli. You can see that number is pretty low. Some tournament history, that's pretty decent tournament history. We also want some good recent form average. 79, probably not going to do it. 76, probably not going to do it. Obviously, we saw at max 2 of these golfers inside the top 10, but not all. Cam Davis, actually not a bad play, being up here, one of the top guys. Now, this is actually color-coded based off of it's based off of in the field. So the light green means they're top 20 in the field. Yellow means they are this is interesting that color is there. It's basically because of how I sorted, but I can change that. Yellow means it is 20 to 40 in the field. Orange is 40 to 60, top 40 to 60. Dark red is bottom. It's above 80, so 80 and beyond. These golfers here down to line 62. So all of these golfers doable, I think. And as long as you have decent tournament history, so like Pat Perez looks good, Hank Lebioda I like, Rafa not bad. Those guys I like. And then you just have to be bold and go with maybe your gut on some of these guys that have, pretty poor tournament history. Again, we can go through and look, you know, poor tournament history with good tournament history, or poor recent form with good tournament history, poor recent form with good tournament history. Same here. Is this a trend? It sure looks like one. That one, anomaly. This one, yeah, not good. Looked good for a while, right? It was like, oh wow, this looks like a really good trend, but not so much anymore. So anyways, did want to show that just to see, you know, if we could find anything that kinks the armor that way. I guess I don't really see anybody like maybe him, maybe Hank Lebiota. Otherwise, everyone else is pretty in tune. This would be bad. That would be bad. I don't feel good about Chad Campbell or Wes Roach or Fabian Gomez. I guess the only thing that would change my mind is what their overall PO percentage is. Still not very good. We can go from here. I know that's DJ at the top. But there you go. Pat Perez again at the top. You know, we're looking at recent form, tournament history. Nick Watney also up there. What is Nick Watney's percentage? So basically anyone to line 76 is going to have decent POA splits. So 76 and up. We like anyone really. Cam Champ once again. Kevin Kisner, sure. Nick Watney, sure. Pat Perez, yep. DJ, yeah, I'm going to play some DJ. I have no problem playing DJ. I mean, I guess I don't really like Sean O'Hare withdrew sometime one of the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure what that's all about, but can't be good if you don't play that many tournaments and you're already withdrawing. But that's the other thing I'm going to be looking at is recent form average, tournament history, POA splits, birdie or better splits. I mean, whoever this guy is, Nick Watney, just looks like everything looks good. Green and reg is good. Approach is good. Birdie or better is good. You know, middle of the pack, not the greatest, but not the worst. Maybe Nick Watney is worth playing. Probably. We can open up the rest of them to look at everyone else. There you have Brant Snedeker. You see Jordan Spieth at 0%. His bucket combination has not found the top 10 in the last 6 years. A good reason not to play him. Patrick Rogers, everyone's darling. I do like Patrick Rogers. And he looks good here. I think this is sorted by POA. Sure is. I mean, all the way down here, all these guys decent at POA splits. But these guys here, let's take a look at who these guys are with the decent birdie or better. So the guys I've highlighted have good birdie or better as well as good POA splits. Maybe it's worth playing some of these guys. I do like Chesson. I can't get on board with any of these golfers here. Really can't. Not at all. Maybe, nope. Can't even get on Cameron Tringali. Nick Taylor, nope. Aaron Baddeley, nope. Charlie Hoffman, nope. Chesson, maybe. He makes a lot of birdies. Vaughn Taylor, yeah, I'll feel comfortable playing him. Same with JB Holmes and same with Brant Snedeker. But yeah, other than that, I think the only other guys that I would feel confident playing, Patrick Rogers, Brendan Grace, Butcher, and probably it, honestly. So that kind of gives you a little breakdown of what I'm looking at when it comes to this player pool. I will finish my lineups here shortly. I'm going to get this video out to you guys. I know the lineup construction doesn't go through all the videos, or not all the videos, it's not me constructing a full lineup. It's just giving you my theory crafting when it comes to lineup building. So that's kind of my thought process on it. And if you were listening all the way till now, thank you for watching. Hopefully I went through a lot of players to make you comfortable with some of your picks or make you uncomfortable with some of them. It's, you know, this week is a crapshoot. I'm not going to play a lot of tournament. I'm not going to play a lot of contests. I'm making a lineup construction video based off of 50 lineups, but I think I'm only playing like 60, 65, something like that. I do play in quite a bit of few or free tournaments just because of data gathering purposes. You'll see my name up there with like 2 star players, you know, the top end salary golfers, and then just a bunch of scrubs at the bottom. And that's just to get hot, you know, in case any of those guys do well. But yeah, I mean, going back to the DK page, like obviously you can see most of my player pool or my lineups are half constructed, basically. Looking at some of these, I only have to put, you know, well, first of all, I got to figure out who I want to put in these, but I only have to find one golfer to add to them. Makes life easy for me. I enjoy doing it this way. I know talking through it might sound, you know, difficult or convoluted, whatever. That's how my brain works. So this is easier for me. It shows you, I mean, I gave you basically 4 golfers from the 1-1s that I like quite a bit, 5 golfers from the 1-1s, and 4 from the 2-1s. You only have to fit in the rest of the other guys, you know, just whoever, doesn't even matter. So you guys could construct lineups based off of what I gave you. Some people might not like this, but you're not going to create the same lineups I am. I'm not giving everyone the same lineup construction. Sure, you can start these lineups the same way. Ooh, big deal. But yeah, it just gives you a little idea of or just different ways to create lineups. But it has been 57 minutes since I started this video. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, and then go on creating my lineups. But thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the review video on Sunday. Good luck this week.